From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome to the Wow Report right here on Radio Andy. I'm Tom Campbell, filling in for our fabulous fearless leader Fenton, who's still off in foreign parts, selling shows, making deals. And I am lucky enough to be here with the one, the only club kid turned best-selling author, James St. James.
Woo! That's me.
Woo! And joining us this week and every week, Blake Jacobs.
Hello.
Blake, who I mentioned last week, and it's true, is the heartthrob of the Wow Report. If you don't believe me,
Heartbeat.
On the YouTube, the heartbeat. Okay.
The heartburn.
We are, each week we count down the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. This is sort of our special anticipating Halloween episode, a sort of a Frankenstein episode where we're taking some older segments where we talked about scary movies, Halloween, and we're going to mix them in with some current topics that we're going to talk about, and we're going to sew them together, and they're going to, ultimately, the village is going to rebel against this episode and come and find us with pitchforks and torches, but that's a whole other topic. But first, let's start off with something topical, new, fresh at number 10.
Number 10.
Last week, we talked about Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan, The Sweat Tour. Blake, who has been a fan of Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan for years, went. He told us about it. Blake, I love you. You did an okay job of explaining how good it was. You did inspire me, and I don't know why there's times when I swear off concerts. I'm too old to go to a concert. It's not safe to go to a concert. I can't stand that long, James. You understand where I'm coming from.
Honey, I don't know how you do it.
I'm getting there.
I got this gut feeling that I needed to see this. And one of the reasons is Leland, Brett McLaughlin, our friend who writes so many of the hits on RuPaul's Drag Race, who's Troye Sivan's partner, who has collaborated and written for Cher and Ariana Grande. And it's incredible. He's written some of Troy's big songs. Like, I need to go and see Brett's songs performed at the Forum.
It's a cultural moment.
Exactly right. I went sort of out of friendship or whatever. It was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. I forget what I look like. And here I bought one single ticket, not a horrible seat, not cheap, like around, I hate to say it, like $500. And I can't think what these kids were thinking as this, as I was coming through in the middle, whatever, by myself. But from the stage design, which was so simple and raw and kind of punk with projector screens, they play to the camera like you're watching an Instagram live. It's super intimate. We talked about it last week, but Troy starts with 3 songs, and then they drop that big, you see it online, that big green brat curtain. And then she secretly appears and they drop that curtain and the place goes wild. It's like a greatest hits tour times 2. It wasn't even intended to be that, but it feels like hit after hit, song after song. I'm still becoming sort of acquainted with Charlie XCX, and I'm able finally, and this is me, not her, I'm able finally to wrap my arms around Charlie XCX and understand her origin, what she means. I used to BB Rexa, like I used to get them all a little confused. We've had them all in Drag Race. We've had their music on, but there's something about how excited Troy was and Charlie XCX, because I believe that what they both have very similar backgrounds, and they both started on their own as like teenagers. They've been in the business for like 10, 15 years. And yet I do believe that this association, this combined tour is like the biggest venues they've ever. And like Troy was just like, jump, and like everybody was jumping. I jumped for the first 10 minutes, which means I needed to get hospitalization the next day. I was the only one who sort of sat at the top of my chair at one point just to relax. But
I did that.
I was blown away and I love Lady Gaga and I love Katy Perry. But that glam, and I'm not saying anything but most people don't know, but like they're the next wave. It was all queer people and young women. And I got the sense it wasn't a drunken crowd. Like I went and saw Luke Combs and they were drunk ass on beer. This is just like young people who come to party, who have fun, who kind of cosplay. Everyone's wearing some kind of, slutty, bright
chartreuse,
see-through tank top, rat green. But I was really impressed with the level of showmanship, with the staging of it, and the excitement in the room. That's what you want at a concert. You want to feel like this new wave of superstars are sort of claiming their spot on the top. There's always that moment when people are always good and have long careers, but there's that moment I feel where they're given the baton and it's like, go, you're in the lead, go, go, go. And Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan together are ahead of the pack right now. And was really impressed. So thank you, actually, Blake, for inspiring me to go. I appreciate it. We are going to continue staying in the current today fresh topics with number 9.
Number 9.
If you'll give me permission, I would like to go on a little rant for a second. I know I don't.
That's why
do
we
this
invited
very,
you here. That's why we invited you here.
Only
I
in
don't
the
do this
first
very
segment.
often. I don't go dark very often. I don't go rogue very often. But I wanted to talk about CNN's Scott Jennings problem. I don't know if you pay attention to the CNN anymore.
I try not to.
Try not to, exactly. You know, for the past 8 or 9 years, CNN has had a lot of really awful Trump surrogates on the show. I think about Kellyanne Conway. I think about Rick Santorum. I think about Jason Miller. But this election cycle, they have a guy named Scott Jennings, who is perhaps the most unctuous, the most odious, the most loathsome person ever to crawl out of the slime bucket that is the GOP.
I love those words, unction and
Unctuous and odious. Yes.
Yeah.
He is this smug, unlikable son of a bitch with a punchable face. He is one of the nastiest pieces of work that you will ever see on a TV show. And for some reason, he must have this ironclad contract that specifies he gets X amount of hours a day or X amount of panels a week or X amount of times. No matter what time of the day or the night, he is on a show. He is on at 3 a.m. He is on at 3 p.m. He is on at 6 p.m. He's on Anderson Cooper. He's on the morning shows. He's on the afternoon shows. No matter where you go, this man is on there. And he is smug. And he does this thing where he smiles condescendingly whenever anyone talks. And he heaves and sighs. And he rolls his eyes. And he's just if it's a woman, he really gets in their face and he starts wagging his finger in their face and telling them why there has never been a woman on the show that he does not want to interrupt. He's like Brett Baer in that respect. And I'm not the only person who notices this. If you go on social media and mention Scott Jennings, you will be blah, 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 blah. Everyone will just have something to say about this man. Some of the things that I've said, he is the epitome of white privilege. He is a pompous ass who doesn't know he's full of shit. He's a turd wrapped in a shit. He's never met a woman he didn't want to interrupt. I can't watch his smug, sarcastic grin every time the other side is speaking. And most often he's on the Abby Phillips show. And Abby Phillips is lovely. She's smart. She's intelligent. But I'm angry with her for enabling these people because she has Scott Jennings on, she has Byron Donalds on, and Shermichael Singleton. And they are 3 of the worst Trump people of all time.
When it comes to political rants, you are a poet. You are the Robert Frost of political rants. That thing you read, where it's just like all the kinds of shit he was. It was beautiful. The road less traveled.
It's just awful that we let these people become famous and then they end up just like they're just taking up space in my mind.
You almost don't want to say anything because the engagement is what people want. They want to make you angry.
That's what CNN wants. They want the rage engagement. They want the rage people getting upset and tuning in to see how upset they can be.
We're all on pins and needles, right? It's such a stressful time. Randy and I talk about it. Randy looks at the poll numbers every 5 minutes, as Randy will do. Randy pointed out that, the Drudge Report, which used to be sort of where you went to see the opposite side. Drudge is like, Kamala is going to win, that the rest of this is the dog and pony media show that makes you want to believe that Trump still has a chance. I don't know if that's true. Yes, fingers crossed. But I'm trying to be calm, but it's, at some point you just get angry and you just can't take it anymore. And that's what we have.
I did see someone online today saying, please I want to go to the hospital and just ask to be put in a coma for 3 weeks, so I don't have to deal with it. Just please, I do anything to make me get through this next 3 weeks.
Could I suggest going to bed early and watching QVC until you fall asleep? That's how I get.
I'll tell you something. I've discovered MeTV has a Cartoon Network now that plays Underdog and Penelope Pit Stop and all, and I will just and Rocky and Bullwinkle,
escapism,
Secret Squirrel.
The problem I have with those nostalgia channels is that the commercial for the non-invasive catheter keeps coming up. It keeps sounding like a good idea to me. Anyway, we are going to move on. This next review is from The Vaults. It's from August. It is our leader, Fenton Bailey, giving us a review of the newest Aliens movie, Romulus, here at number 8.
Number 8.
Jazz Tanke, a good friend and the senior artisans editor at Variety, invited me to go see Alien Romulus. I think it's the 7th installment of the Alien franchise.
But it's supposed to come after Alien and before Aliens, right?
That is correct. Yes, it comes after Alien. You know what the way Alien ends with Sigourney Weaver blasting the alien into outer space and presumably to its death. Dun, dun, dun. Well, this begins with the recovery of what looks like a burnt piece of rock.
In space, floating in space.
Yes.
It's like a meteor and they pull it in.
Very long story short, you can imagine it picks up where Alien, the first installment of the franchise, left off. First, I have to say, this is a spectacular world building. Just, I've always had a bit of a hard on for the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, the sort of the brutal industrial dystopia tech of the corporation that is like conquering outer space and mining things and wants to evolve a biologically merciless machine.
Is that what your attraction to this series is?
Well, it just is always done very well. It's very like the future is dystopian and it's not all shiny and new. I'm not like genuinely sexually stimulated, but it's an exciting visual thing.
It's not Star Trek. It's
exactly. It's Star Trek in a sort of if the Federation ran out of a budget and they were just patching their ships together with bits and pieces. So anyway,
like Elon Musk.
There you go.
Is there like a Geiger-esque element to the set design?
Absolutely. Needless to say, the alien is not a charred corpse. Essentially comes back to life. And as with the original movie, there is a bunch of people on a spaceship being chased down by aliens, trying to survive and outwit and outrun and outlast. So in some respects, it's sort of Aliens' greatest hits replayed, and even the denouement of the film, which is absolutely brilliant. Even the denouement, single woman left, countdown to auto destruction of the ship, got to get rid of the alien. It's not unfamiliar. Some say it's a callback. I would say it's kind of like the playbook, But James, I think you had a question.
Yes.
Which is, you are as usual in love with
Fearn. I have been seeing on the red carpet. There was someone who made me rubberneck. Named Spike Fearn, who is one of the stars. Tell me about him.
This is a weird thing. Is that there seem to be a lot of Brits in this, and I don't know quite why. And Spike Fearn is kind of like the sort of cockney, chip on his shoulder, chavvy kind of guy.
I love it.
Who doesn't like the sort of robotic people, because humans and replicants kind of like coexist. And then there's another one, though, that I thought you would be more into. Archie James Beale, known professionally as Archie Renault, also British. Really, I think he wins in the looks department. But really, the film is all about Kaylee Spaney, who was in Civil War, and she is the new Ripley.
Oh, he's very sort of swarthy, handsome.
You're
Yeah,
talking about Archie Renault, right?
yes,
Just
I'm
on
looking at
street.
him right now.
I know. I don't know. Like, you're doing a radio show here, James. You're not just Googling your own.
I'm sorry.
There is one of the things about aliens, I don't know if you know, but they their blood is sort of hydrochloric acid, so it eats through the spaceship. And there's this fabulous sequence where she has the ingenious idea. She's got a gun and she wants to shoot all the aliens, but of course, if they all splatter, the acid's just going to go through the spaceship. So there's an ingenious workaround that leads to one of the most suspenseful action moments of like, I can't believe they did this. I don't know how they did it. It's really good.
I have my tickets for tonight, so I'm ready.
People love it, and it's a sort of reach in the same way that Star Wars, after that long absence, Star Wars came back, and it was a retread of what you knew and loved, and
It's funny because I've been seeing people go bananas for it. People are loving it, or then there's a small contingent who hate it, which I guess is just modern life.
I don't think it's hateable. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, who did Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead remake. And there's this fantastic. They're on this planet, but the whole thing takes place in space. But they're on this planet that is like Saturn. It has rings around it, and the spaceship is drifting out of control towards these rings of ice. So you can just imagine that it is just so visually gorgeous. And they managed to make the alien even more evolutionary, yucky than it's sort of been in the past as well. So it was definitely the opening for me, because they didn't have a popcorn bucket, but they did have a facehugger about this long that everybody got to take home.
I saw it on your Instagram.
It's a greatest hits on the one hand, because yes, there will be chest busters, but there's much more. And it's in theaters now.
And that was our spooky movie at number 8. We're going to take a break, but before we go, Blake, do you have anything to say?
I do. I have lots to say, but I'm going to narrow it down to just this.
That's fair.
Wow Presents Plus is the place to see all internationals of Drag Race here in the U.S. We've got Drag Race España on Sundays, Drag Race Philippines on Wednesdays, Drag Race UK. We've got new seasons of Drag Race Thailand, and Drag Race Down Under is coming soon. So watch it there. Wow Presents Plus, wowpresentsplus.com. And I do have a question.
Yes.
I would like to know, in regards to remote controls, why do people call it a clicker?
Clicker? I don't even know her. The answer to that question and more when the Wow Report returns right here on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
We're back. It's the Wow Report on Radio Andy. It's Tom Campbell with Jane St. James and Blake Jacobs. We are counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go wow. Before we continue, Blake asked us a little trivia question before the break.
Yeah. In regards to like television remotes, why do some people call it a clicker?
Well, now, first of all, I don't know that anyone does call it a clicker except you Arkansas hillbillies who still call cell phones mobiles. To me, that does not seem like a real thing. I guess maybe when it first started, it was just one button that clicked and it did everything.
I think they were kind of really clumsy, big, clicky click. I think you had to click a button to make them work.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's actually because, now they have infrared. Like the little light inside. Previously, it would change the channel by sound that humans couldn't hear. So you push the button and it was like a high frequency sound. Like sometimes you would drop something and the TV would change the channel and stuff.
No, that never happened.
So that's why they changed it.
Are you living in? That's insane.
To infrared remotes.
Was this fact checked on TikTok?
It was.
Is this like Donald Trump saying if there's no wind, the TV isn't going to work?
Does he say that? I don't listen to him.
Oh, good for you.
Yes.
Enough of this click clack. Let's move on to number 7.
Clickbait questions.
There you go. Number 7.
Number 7.
In these stressful times, I had the most delightful evening. Just down the block from World of Wonder headquarters is the Catalina Jazz Club.
Oh,
and I saw Lucie Arnaz. I got the job.
Why didn't you invite me? I would have gone with you.
Oh my God. Well, I will see her again. I should have thought of you, James. It's not a ticket you can get a lot of people to come to, but they're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're
Wait, hold
wrong.
on. Can we just pause and appreciate that one? Because truer words were never spoken. Who did you travel to, like Arizona to
Tony
see?
Tennille to see her star
Tony
in
Tennille
a college
in
production
Gypsy.
of Hello Dolly.
Oh, hello, Dolly.
I went to Orange County to see Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. And I went to see Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan in the same week.
He's
so
cool.
I am everybody. Lucie Arnaz, I have such respect for her. When her mother first died, she would go on the television shows, and it was the 70s, and she didn't mommy dearest her, but she made this real strong point to be like, my father was the funny one. She's very protective of her dad's reputation. My mom was a strict one. My mom was very serious. My dad was the genuinely funny one. But over the years, she has done so much and been so generous in sharing the legacy of her parents. And I love the Lucy and Ricky story, and I love Lucille Ball and her comedy. And she's done documentaries, and I follow her on Facebook, and she's lovely. She's a Nepo baby in that her first job was working on her mother's show, Here's Lucy, which she did for 8 years.
With Desi Arnaz Jr., who
Yes.
was so dreamy.
But Lucy, there's so many remnants, but there's that viral clip of Lucille Ball, Ginger Rogers, who were friends at RPO forever, and Lucie Arnaz doing the Charleston, like in 1970. And they put it to single ladies, and it blows your mind. And I was putting it to all this different music history. There's a new Kylie Minogue song, and I was with Theron, and we're like, let's put it to Lucie Arnaz dancing with Ginger Rogers, and it always works. It's so funny. You change the music, and it goes from being schlocky Charleston to being like Beyonce level choreography. Anyway,
we really do work at the gayest place in America.
Yes, we do. But it was late here. I'd worked the whole day, but I was killing time, so I had to get to the theater.
Mhm.
So her good friend and mentor, Vivian Vance, heard of her? She said to her, you should do summer stock when she was on the Lucy show. Here's Lucy, different time of show business. If you want to learn how to be a stage actress, go to summer stock. And she did. And she sang songs from the shows that she had done. She picked obscure songs often, and that was okay. It was like, I just hadn't been to a real cabaret for a long time. And she sung her whole career. I've heard her sing. She kind of sings better than ever. She has this incredible joy to her singing. And, she's probably 70 something now, which is incredible. But she told a few anecdotes. One is, for one whole summer, she played Annie Oakley in Annie Get Your Gun. It was conducted by the original conductor of Annie Get Your Gun, who conducted, Ethel Merman, Irving Berlin score. And the night of her first performance, she got a telegram, which she does the joke like a telegram. It's like a tweet, but you can frame it. She goes, and I framed it because it was from Irving Berlin saying, I hear you're marvelous in this part. Good luck. And so she goes way back to that. And then she did it. And tell me if you know this venue, at the Jones Beach Auditorium. It's in Jones Beach, New York. I've now Googled it. It seats 8,000 people. It's an amphitheater. It's like the Hollywood Bowl, except the actual stage and the round part is on the ocean. So you're you're just performing. And she would talk about singing, and moths would come into her mouth in the rain and whatever. So just this really story. She originated 2 roles, one on Broadway. She originated They're Playing Our Song.
They're playing my song. Oh, yeah, they're playing my song.
Robert Klein, Neil Simon, I think, wrote it. Just storied people. It was on for 18 months. It was a big hit at the time. She sang a song from that. And then years later, she was asked to star in the West End production of Witches of Eastwick, the musical, which was another success on the West End for 18 months. And in between, she's done, national tours with Tommy Tune. She's always been surrounded by incredible people. And, it's not all A list, but it's her life. And she celebrates it, and she sang about it. And it was a room full of it was a different crowd than the Charlie XCX concert. Let me just tell you that right now. Bruce Valanche was there. I thought Bruce Valanche was there because he must have written some of her patter, and because he'd had a few jokes. I'd be like, Bruce going like, check, I wrote that one. And she has such a class because of how she was raised and her parents and her pedigree, which she doesn't throw in your face, but it's there. She just has a classic sense of humor. She just has the audience in the palm of her hand. She's super lovable. And yes, James, if Lucie Arnaz comes back, she says she would. She loved the other night. She's also in Palm Springs a lot, I think, at the Purple Room. But I had the best time seeing Lucie Arnaz. I got the job. And I suggest if she's playing near you, you see her too.
But I remember my stepmother, Becky, and my father went to go see it in New York. They're playing my song. And he must have sexed her up really good afterwards, because for years afterwards, Becky would put the record on and be like, Bob, I'm going to play it. And then she'd sing it, and she'd dance around, and he'd get a little smile on his face, and she'd get a little smile, and she'd say, remember, Bob? So I have a feeling it must have been like a really big night afterwards that they saw, because that was their song.
Yes, it was based on the real life love relationship between Marvin Hamlish and Carol Bayer Sager, who were a couple, and he was the music and she was the lyrics, and that was about their courtship. All right, we are going to move on to a classic retelling of Bad Ronald, the movie, as reported by James St. James at number 6.
Number 6.
I'm sticking with the bad right here because I have Bad Ronald.
Bad Ronald?
I'm surprised you don't remember this one, Tom. In the 1970s, ABC used to do their movie of the week, and very, very famously, it was really top quality stuff, and they had some really scary movies. During that time, there was Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black. There was Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. There was Burnt Offerings with Bette Davis. There was The Initiation of Sarah. And these were all top quality made-for-TV movies, used with really good writers, really good actors, and they were all they traumatized an entire generation of kids.
Invented by Barry Dillard and Michael Eisner, the movie of the week.
Exactly. Well, this is Bad Ronald, and Bad Ronald is the story of a bad boy named Ronald.
So far, I'm following it. Go on.
Oh. He's slightly touched, okay? He's got some problems. He's got this overprotective mother, and he's coming home from school one day. He's really cute, by the way. You just want to.
Yeah, it's okay.
We said if you watched it, remembered it, he was cute.
Okay. So anyway, this girl is making fun of him, and he pushes her, and she falls and hits her head against a cinder block and dies. And he buries her in the bushes. And then he runs home and he tells his mother, I've accidentally killed this girl. And she says, oh, my poor baby, they're going to come and get you. They're going to come and get you. We've got to hide you. And so she walls off a bathroom, and puts him in the bathroom, and she says, now there's a crawl space right there, and between the walls of the house there's like 1 or 2 feet that he can sort of move around the house behind the walls. And she says, you're going to stay here until the heat is off and the police stop looking for you, and then you can come back out again. I'll tell everybody that we've sent you away to go stay with your father or something like that. So he's behind the walls, and every night there's a little grating that he can scurry out of and get his food that she leaves out for him and then scurry back. Okay? And then there's a next door neighbor, and the next door neighbor comes over and says, they're looking for your son. They're looking for your son. And so time goes on, and it's a week, then it's a month, it's 2 months. He's still behind the walls. And he starts poking little holes in the walls so he can see out what's happening, everything like that. Well, all of a sudden, the mother goes in for a gallbladder operation and dies on the operating table. Okay, so the mother is gone. All of a sudden, for whatever reason, he's afraid to leave the walls. He doesn't know what to do. So he's just spinning behind the walls and freaking out. And another family moves into the house without realizing.
Shouldn't the real estate agent reveal that, though?
You would think. But so this other family moves into the house, not realizing that Bad Ronald is living in the walls.
So creepy. That's super creepy.
I am this is the scariest thing so far.
Right, and he's hot to boot, right? So it's scary and he's hot.
Right.
Okay, but anyway, so
these walls could talk.
And all through for the rest of the movie, the father will come down and say, what happened to that blueberry pie that was in the refrigerator? And of course, Bad Ronald had eaten it during the night, and he's got to sneak out and steal food. And you see Bad Ronald peeking at the girls while they sleep, the teenage girls peeking on them while they're showering and everything. And I'm not going to tell you how it ends because it's very scary. But suffice it to say that like I said, an entire generation was traumatized by this.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that everybody at Chippewa Middle School was convinced that Bad Ronald was living in their walls, and every time you hear a thump or a tree branch against the window, you are convinced that Ronald is living in your house.
Absolutely creates that paranoia in me today, just hearing you tell the story.
But I saw a viral video a couple of years ago, maybe, where someone, I guess, had seen this film and was actually secretly, covertly living in someone's apartment. And they were in a sort of luggage space, like a sort of half a closet.
Yes, I've seen that.
And I guess the person who lived there got suspicious that something was going on and left a video camera set up. And lo and behold, in the dead of night, in that really creepy sort of green night vision,
found vision,
you see this
camera.
golem-like creature emerge from the loft, climb down, and sort of eat things and move around, and then go back up and secrete themselves back into the absolutely creepy.
They were eating the food, I believe.
Bad Ronald for real, eating the blueberry pie.
Well, and then in the 90s, there was a movie called The People Under the Stairs that was kind of like this.
I remember that one. Because that, to me, like walking downstairs that don't have the backs to them, I always imagine people are going to grab my ankles as I'm walking down. Anyway.
All right, moving on at number 5.
Number 5.
I went to see the new movie. It's a sequel, Smile 2.
I had to leave Smile 1. I was too scared. It is the scariest movie I've ever seen.
How much did you see of it?
15 minutes. The first time they smiled, I had to run out of the theater. I was so scared.
You aren't used to people smiling at you, are you?
He has trouble reading social cues.
Well, the first one starred the spawn of Kevin and Kira, Sosie Bacon.
Yes.
And the gag is that it's this smiling demon disease that is passed from one person to another through trauma. So the infected person will kill themselves in front of the host in a horrific way, and then it passes on to that person. So in the first movie, Rose is Sosie. She's a psychiatrist, and she catches the disease from a patient. And spoiler alert, she doesn't make it out of the live of the first one. Alas, she's not in the second film. But James, do you know Kyle Gallner?
Yeah.
He is also in Strange Darling that I saw this year. He is hottie. He's been in lots of like different scary movies. He was in the first one. He's in this one. It starts like 6 days after the first movie. So like the movie opens up and it says 6 days later. The second film focuses on a hot but damaged pop star a la Britney or Demi Lovato who catches the smiling disease. I won't tell you how she gets it, but I will tell you because James St. James will definitely go see the film if I tell him that.
I won't.
Lucas Gage is also in it.
Oh, I'm sort of off Lucas Gage. I'm sorry.
We'll pretend that you are into him.
Oh, I love Lucas Gage.
Okay. And
that was short and sweet. Speaking Sabrina Carpenter.
Well, the production design, like the stage design, is super, especially when she does her pop numbers. It's super slick and colorful. It kind of reminds me of The Substance. It's way better than that other horror pop star film that Fenton talked about this year, Trap.
Oh, right. Shyamalan. Yeah.
And the music isn't half bad. So I'd say go see it. It was like 30 minutes too long, but what movie isn't?
Exactly.
Did you say this already and I'm spacing out? Jack Nicholson's son's in this, right?
He is in it. Yeah. He plays the pop star's dead boyfriend. So before the film even starts, but you see flashbacks, she had been in this horrific car wreck the year before and that derailed her career. And this is her big
There's a lot
comeback.
going on here. There's a lot of balls in the air with this story. I don't know if I can follow it.
Well, that's what I said. It was 30 minutes too long. They should have done some editing.
You know, with James St. James, you're either hot or you're cold. I
You
think
are.
he's cold.
Yeah, it depends on the day, the minute, the hour.
All right. We're going to take another little break. Don't go anywhere. Before we go, I turn things over to the very capable Blake Jacobs.
And I have a question.
Yes.
Do you guys know Jade Thirlwell from UK girl group Little Mix?
Yes.
Yes.
She has just released her new solo single called Fantasy last Friday, only her second single ever. The accompanying music video, directed by David LaChapelle, is an homage to the 70s disco and the movie Carrie. It's really good.
Oh,
What wow-lebrity video hose, I'm using that as an adjective, playing the villain who dumps blood all over Jade while she performs in the disco.
But we'll answer that, and we will continue the countdown when we return. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. It's Tom Campbell here with James St. James and Blake Jacobs. We are counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go wow. Before the break, Blake had a very long setup to a short question. What is it, Blake?
Well, let me abbreviate it for you.
Okay.
There's a wow celebrity in the new Jade video called Fantasy. Videos directed by David LaChapelle. Who's the Wild Celebrity?
One clue. Is it a drag queen?
You could call her that.
Oh.
Yes.
That makes me worry that I'm going to say the wrong thing now. I think it's Adore Delano.
Nope, not Adore. James?
Tracy Mattel.
No, it's my other podcast co-host, Love Connie.
Stop it. She's a David LaChapelle star now? That's fabulous.
Yes, ma'am. She pours blood all over Jade from Little Mix in her new video. It's an homage to Carrie.
I love Connie. There, I said it. All right.
Someone's got to.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to. All right. We have reached number 4.
Number 4.
I want to do a special rest in peace to Francesca Marlene di Cesani van Gerber. James, you know her as Mitzi Gaynor. Mitzi was 91 years old. She is one of the very last links to the golden age of Hollywood. She came to prominence in the late 40s and 50s, had a very long career. She starred in movies opposite Sinatra, Gene Kelly, Ethel Merman, Marilyn Monroe, Donald O'Connor. She's best known for her role as a lead in the movie of South Pacific.
I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair.
Mary Martin originated the role on the Broadway stage, but at 44, when South Pacific was made into a movie, she was considered, Mary Martin, too old to play Nellie Forbush. And I guess everyone in Hollywood was up for the part. Doris Day, Michael Wilder wanted his wife Elizabeth Taylor to play it, but Mitzi Gaynor was the only one who agreed to screen test for Rodgers and Hammerstein. And even though she starred in many musicals at that time, South Pacific was a huge hit, and yet she never did a musical after that. And the whole movie system and musicals kind of shut down by the time Mitzi had reached her peak stardom. So like every Hollywood survivor, she created a Vegas act and became the toast of Las Vegas. And she had dancers and bright gowns, and she was like all legs and smile and glamour. And that led her to performing Georgie Girl at the 1967 Oscars. And she had like 5 dancers and top hats and acrobatics and all that kind of stuff. And an ABC TV executive, I don't know who, but I'd like to think he was a big homosexual or closeted one, decided to give Mitzi Gaynor her own TV special. And for 10 years in a row, from 68 to 78, she had these spectacular Mitzi Gaynor specials, like Mitzi and 100 Guys, Mitzi Zings to Spring. And they're available. You can watch them on YouTube, obviously, but they sell the things. Dancers, choreography, the production numbers blow your mind. When you first rediscover them, you're like, how, like, Mitzi Gaynor doesn't come first to mind. It's not the Sonny and Cher show. It's like they are treasure troves of choreography and camp. And the most amazing thing are her outfits.
The Bob Mackie gowns.
Bob Mackie praises her that she was the first big celebrity who trusted him. He told me once, like Dinah Shore, like they just didn't trust him. Who's this young kid? He's going to dress me. I don't think so. But he pulled out all the stops for Mitzi. And this is before Cher, before Cara Burnett. And Mitzi is very much featured, being interviewed in the Bob Mackie documentary that's currently playing the film circuit. And in fact, the documentary gets its name from an outfit that Bob made for Mitzi. And that name of the outfit and the name
Nude Illusion.
Yes, Naked Illusion. Because he did it for Cher, he did it for everybody, he did it for Tina Turner, but that first Nude Illusion, and you can watch it online, is Mitzi on national television when censorship was so tight, wearing just like a sheath, just like little tiny patches and like a little nylon over nylon, and one of the nylons has glitter, and it blows your mind. It blows your mind.
Timeless look. Kim Kardashian just wore
absolutely, and that's Bob Mackie, and that was Mitzi. Mitzi was his muse, and she was always lovely and always upbeat. Never really got her due, but just really seemed to be like a player in Hollywood. And then I was happy to also read in her obituary that she married her agent Jack Bean in 1954. There was an aside that said that he got her so much work that when she was offered the role of Lola in whatever Lola wants, that Damn Yankees, she was unable to do it, but they made up and they stayed married until his passing in 2006. So she was married from 54 to 2006. Just makes me love Mitzi Gaynor even more. And if you're not going to recognize the contribution to the glitterati of Mitzi Gaynor on the Wow Report, where are you going to celebrate the life of Mitzi Gaynor? Right here on the Wow Report. Love you, Mitzi. Mwah, mwah. We're moving on now to number 3.
Number 3.
Liam Payne passed from One Direction. It's a huge deal for like my niece who grew up as a Directioner. I took her to One Direction concerts. She said when she called me and she was crying, and she said that this must be what it feels like when what it felt like when John Lennon died for you, Uncle Jimmy. And which, no, I'm not that old. I said it was, I know. I said it was like when Andy Gibb died, but that fell flat because nobody knows who Andy Gibb was anymore. But he fell from a 3rd floor balcony. You don't know whether he jumped or he passed out and fell, or maybe he was trying to jump into the pool, as sometimes boys do, or there was an argument. He was very troubled in his last year. He had been dropped last week by his record company and his PR agents, both at the same time. And his girlfriend was coming out with a book detailing abuse that she suffered at his hands.
Yeah.
His
and hadn't they been there for like 3 weeks? He was only supposed to stay for like 5 days. And
yeah. And TMZ showed pictures of the body, and they got a lot of flack for that. That was really disgusting.
They took them down, right?
Yeah, they took them down. There were also pictures of the drug paraphernalia that were inside the hotel room at the time. And now the autopsy report is saying that he had traces of pink cocaine in his system, which is a mixture of meth, ecstasy, and ketamine, which is weird because
that takes you in more than one direction. Sorry, that's like uppers, downers, sideways.
Well, that's what I'm just saying, because what I remember of my drug years is that if you're on ecstasy and you want to cut it, you want to stop it, you take either coke or meth. You do a bump and it stops it. And the same thing with K. If you're in a K hole, you do a bump of coke or you do a bump of meth and it stops it immediately. So all these things are counterintuitive, and they don't work together. I don't understand pink cocaine. I also don't understand how an autopsy report knows that it was this mixture as opposed to just individual. He did them individually. I don't
Maybe
understand.
They found some evidence too to back it up. Who knows?
There you go. But all of a sudden, I have noticed that today there was an article about P. Diddy made everybody carry pink cocaine with them, and pink cocaine is the latest media boogeyman. And they're carrying it in caravans across the border, and Haitians are giving it to your children during Halloween. Pink cocaine is everywhere.
Good old media.
But I do want to just say that if you're struggling with thoughts of possibly wanting to harm yourself, help is available, and you can speak with someone 24 hours a day by calling the Suicide and Crisis Hotline at 988. It's a terrible, tragic story, and it's one of those, like, did you ever? I thought I didn't ever think I'd live to see the day of a One Direction person passing away.
No, it's bad. It just goes rich, famous, poor. It's like everyone's vulnerable, and if you need help, please
reach out. Yeah.
Reach out. Anyway, very sad. For number 2, I've nominated the Gore Fest and also soon to be Christmas classic, this year's Terrifier 3.
Number 2.
This is exactly what you would want it to be, full of gore and like super, super gore. Tom, you would hate it.
I admit that I've seen the trailer because of you telling Theron. Theron said, "Do you want to go see Terrifier 3?" And I looked at the trailer and I was horrified.
No, you would not like it.
The trailer is very scary. The trailer is terrifying. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this is the 3rd one. The first one came out in like 2016, and nobody really knew about it. I started hearing about it when Terrifier 2 came out because it was kind of the same formula.
It was building in popularity with each progressive one.
Well, and it's the same formula where, oh my God, people are passing out in the movie theaters from this.
And it's the old Roger Corman thing where they have a nurse and an ambulance outside the theater just to scare you. Yes.
Well, the movie was whatever. Actually, I think the second one was better. But this is a good option because it's set at Christmas time, so you can watch it at Christmas.
That's
So
very smart, because what I think they do is they have it come out in the theaters for Christmas or for Halloween, and then it comes out on streaming in December for Christmas, and you get double the hits.
Yeah, this one, I think the second one is actually better, but who really goes for story or anything? You're just going to see, you know, people get splashed up. The worst part was the audience. The girl,
were you at one where they screamed back and they were shouting and everything?
well, that's fine, but it's the girl next to me was on her phone the entire time with the brightness turned up to high. The people behind me were talking the entire time, like, "Oh my God, did you see that?" Or maybe trying to explain the lore of this dumb movie. And then the worst was 10 minutes into the movie, this cool dad walks in with, you know, 5 12-year-old kids who are also taking pictures of the screen, you know, Snapchatting it or whatever they're doing now.
Whatever these kids are doing.
These whippersnappers. So Art the Clown has an accomplice in this one, and it's a woman. She's from the first couple, but I still couldn't really tell you who she was. But there's a point where she masturbates with a knife. Oh. And that's when the dad, I guess, realized what he had brought these kids to, and they all got up and left. So,
wow.
Don't take your kids to see Terrifier 3.
I have one question after seeing the trailer.
What?
How much ragu spaghetti sauce did they use on this set? It's just one big, like, red sauce.
It's like the end of the substance for the whole movie, basically.
Totally.
But my question is it based on Marilyn Manson? He looks exactly like Marilyn Manson to me.
I don't think it's based on him.
We'll leave that with our lawyers, James. Terrifier 3, it's still in theaters everywhere. All right, we are about to take a break. When we come back, we're going to reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow, here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
We are back. Thank you for listening this week. We are counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow, and we have reached number one.
Number one.
Just when you think that we are in the silliest season right now politically, Trump does something that just tops all silliness before him. I want to talk a little bit about his McDonald stunt, because it's so just ridiculous. It's just beyond ridiculous, and it's given us the joy of so many memes. I don't know if you've been paying attention to them. My X feed is, X is a cesspool of right-wing ideology right now. It's just terrible, terrible. But my followers and I have this lovely little relationship where we send around silly cat memes and funny things back and forth. And everybody is very positive and we all giggle together. But I have two of them who are these older queens who are MAGA to the bone. Yes. And they will engage with me on every gay thing, every pop culture thing. But talking with them about Trump, you get into this quagmire, and it's weird because I try to engage them and it doesn't really work. But one of them, when this happened, said to me, James, I don't understand how you cannot see that this is so funny what he did. It's roll on the floor funny. He owned the libs with this. He really got to you guys with this one. And I said, well, why? Why do you think that? And he said, well, because, Kamala didn't work at McDonald's. She lied about it. And I said, now, why does Kamala not working at McDonald's trigger you so much? Why does, if she did or didn't work
but they don't know that she didn't. She said she did. It wasn't on some resume later in her life. Like, I don't have Cronus Market on my resume when I was like,
Well, exactly. But why does whether or not she worked at McDonald's when she was 15 years old, 40 years ago, why does that matter so much to you? And he said, because it's about her character. And if she lies about this, she'll lie about anything. And I said, but Donald has thousands of lies. Why doesn't that matter to you? No, but you know what he said? Do you know what he said to me? I said, why does it matter to you when Donald has thousands of lies? And he said, James, tell me one lie. Tell me one lie that isn't just libs making shit up. I'll wait.
from The Apprentice. The Roy Cohn rules are attack, attack, attack. That's what he does. There is no such thing as truth. He has destroyed the truth. He has single-handedly tried to dismantle the truth. He says about his opponents what is said about him, and therefore you can just switch, with the wind.
Now he's saying that she has cognitive problems.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But that in the algorithm of life, in the Google search of life, it makes all truth go to nowhere, because there's half the people are going to believe that, half the people are going to believe that, depending on what team they're rooting for. It's disgusting. And I worry, and I'm glad you talked about this, because that gets me to say my favorite line, which is like Trump saying at the drive-thru, "Would you like some lies with that shake?" But talking about Randy this morning, so worried that in this age where everyone is getting addicted to TikTok and scrolling or whatever it is, that Trump's a TikTok president. He's like a buffoon. He's a pratfall. He's he's more entertaining. Is that going to get him elected? Do people want a buffoon for president? A lying felon for president?
I do have to say, my final thought on this, that I want to put a pin on it, is that when Marie Antoinette pretended to be a poor, when she would go to her Petit Trianon and dress up as a shepherdess, so she could be.
Yes,
this is exactly why Marie Antoinette lost her head. This is exactly what led to her guillotine, is pretending to be poor. The villagers, and I tried to create a little meme where I said, the villagers are hungry, and Donald Trump says, "Let them eat hamburgers."
Well, we can only hope.
I know, and yet your references people don't know. So I mean, please, if you're anyone within the sound of my voice, let's create a blue wave. Let's vote. Let's get out the vote.
Vote.
And anyone who thinks that I'm gonna vote red because my taxes will be better, like even if they are, like
the price of eggs,
please just for this, just please for this election, go with your heart.
Don't let the enemy of don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yes. And Obama's out there talking, the early economy of Trump before COVID was the Obama economy. That's what you were enjoying, not the Donald Trump economy. We have reached the end of another fascinating countdown. Thank you for listening. Fenton, we miss you. Hurry home safely. Until the next time, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.